Okay, so now let's take this out of the way. Okay. And I got that in here. And there's the remote it comes with. Sec. Another item in here. So it's the module control box, I'm assuming. The size we want to come out. Yep, it's module box to control the RGB and the fans. Okay, we'll get this out of the way. Alright, let's continue on here. This is pretty heavy. This must be the hardware box. So what do we got? 2 backer plates. Comes with some CPU grease. Screws for radiator. Washers. 3M sticky tape, like I mentioned in one of my other liquid cooling videos by Deep Cool. This is basically what you can use, or you can just use a roll of your own 3M double-sided stick tape. Screws and springs for the block. More adapters for the RGAs for Intel's. Fan screws. What else do we got? This must be the cooling fan for the radiator. Nice. There's the fan there. This is the new style open style fans that I've been running into. The only thing is, make sure there's nothing close to them or your finger near it when the system is on, because it will hurt. And one other thing is the fan blade will break too. That just wasn't this specific brand, but it was Zeilman fans that have that, or somewhat the same type of style. So that's the fan. Some more wires. There's the screws to mount the fan. And there's the cable for the power for the fan. There's the radiator, all black. You got the wrapper. And there's the CPU cooler. Big base. Make sure you take the sticker off the back. Okay. And got the got the RGB and the fan control. Now, by the looks of this, what this setup is going to be on my mini system. So what I'm going to have to do is by the looks of it, I may have to take the motherboard out of my system to be able to get it in, because the mini board, the mini motherboard doesn't have an opening like it does on the main motherboard, because I have two. It's a case that has 2 systems in one case, so that's another thing. So basically at that point, so I'm going to basically may have to take it out. But with the other one I had was made by Deep Cool, but I didn't have to take the back plate off because it allowed you to utilize the OEM mounting points. So hopefully I may not have to take it out, but there's a good possibility it's going to happen. Alright, now let's see, how do we hook up the fan on this radiator? Because it doesn't show any installation there. It doesn't show any screw holes. take a look at the instructions here. I'm no cowboy. I'm man enough to open up my instructions and look at it. My opinion, more of a man taking out the instructions, looking at it, than trying to guess what you're doing and wasting time. This way, it saves you time. Okay, we just gotta find out which setups for what. That's for Intel, that's no good to us. That's just mounting the base on. I'm looking for the fan. How you mount the fan? I think you pull off these white little covers here by the looks of it. Let me see. And yes, that is the case. So there's the cover off. You just put your finger and pop. Then you continue on. Same thing with the other one. Not too complicated to pop off. Okay. Okay, other one's off. So that's what it looks like with the covers off. Now, I gotta figure out how I'm gonna do this. Now, everyone's saying that you should have your cooler higher than your processor. Because the reason why is that if the CPU block is higher than the fan, what will happen is it'll draw all the liquid from the CPU, and then it will cause some heating issues. If you put it like so, like this way, and mount it in the case that way, then there's going to be less chance you're going to have a spot in here for your CPU. Doesn't matter if it's in your radiator, that's okay. Now the problem is I don't know if there's going to be enough room to mount that, because I want to mount it. I was going to mount it like that. Let me see, just a second. Just a second. I hope to God that's not going to be the case. Oh, okay. Okay. So, what I was going to mount it like this, like that, but then the problem is then that your coolant is not going to be at the highest point. So, we're going to have a problem. So, I don't know. I'm thinking that I can take my radiator and mount it in front of the case. I'll have to remove one of my 3 fans that are in front of the computer, and what I think I'm going to do is take that fan, put that one in the bottom, and then put the radiator up front. The only problem is it's not going to have 3 fans there and light it up nice, but I'm getting very limited on space. They say this case that I have, no one will ever fill it. Well, I'm pretty well at the max now. Once I put this in, that's going to be pretty well maxed out. There's going to be no more room for fans. There's going to be no more room pretty well for anything. So what I'm going to have to do is take the 120 millimeter at the front, the 140, put it up in the top, because I have one space left for one there. And then I'm going to put the other one. I ordered 3 new fans, so I don't know, I may end up have to get rid of these fans and sell them off, because I don't know if I'm going to be able to utilize them all is the problem. Now, the other thing is let's see, what do we got going on here? Okay, so, with that being said, okay, the first thing is okay, so I'm going to put the CPU cooler that way. And it's going to go that way. So the radiator, the fan, is going to have to go this way with the brain name up, with the cooling tubes up, because I'm going to mount it up top. Now I'm trying to figure out, thinking to myself, should I mount the radiator with the hoses up or bottom? I know that's a top one, But is there any rule to how you mount your fans? That's the question. I'm only showing them setting it up with installing it with the tubes on the side. Let's take a look here. Take a look and see if we can find anything. Well, that's going to create a little bit of a problem. Okay. From what I can gather, that the pump should be mounted in a position where it is slightly lower than the top of the radiator. So, the top of the radiator, where the air is captured. One good mounting position is place the radiator at the top of the case with the tubes pointing downward. But that really doesn't give me a real good answer I'm looking for. Let's try on another thing here. I just don't want to put this in here and cause cooling issues is the problem. Okay, there we go. So it's showing that the tubes are going to have to be mounted down. So it's going to have to be mounted like that. So the radiator up top is going to have to be up there. I guess it kind of makes sense. The same as a car radiator where they got the hoses at the bottom, not the top. Kind of makes sense. Okay. I don't know, I may be able to mount this at the top. No, I can't. The radiator would fit, but the fan would not clear. So... So I guess we're just gonna have to put the fan else up that way with the radiator hoses down. Let's mount it that way. I guess when we'll put it when I'm in my next video, we'll have to see where it's going to mount, because I can't see where I can mount it efficiently, but because I didn't think I was going to have to mount the hoses at the bottom. I thought that the radiator can be mounted anywhere, because I do have my other one upside down on the top. So I guess, well, it really makes sense in a way, because it really doesn't matter. It's going to be the lowest point. Now, which ones are the fan ones? I would say it's these ones, because there's only 4 in the package. I don't know why they give you fan mounts to mount it, because you got to put it on the radiator. Alright, got extra fan screws for another project. Like those ones is what I'm saying there. Right here, you don't even need them for anything. You're mounting another fan somewhere else, but you got to mount your fan right on your radiator, so I don't know why they include them, but anyway. Alright, so you take one screw, you just fit it in the fan. Now the tip is lift your fan up a little bit so that you can see the thread, so you can put the screw in. So I'm just going to turn this around and show you. So right there's where the screw goes, and if you lift it up a tad, you can see where you position the screw. I'll show you again. So you go over here, take your screw, put your screw down, put your screw down here, lift it, position it where the hole's at, Slightly screw it. And I wouldn't totally clamp these screws down right away. Put all 4 screws in and then tighten it down after 4 screws. So let me do that. Perfect. Alright, now I'll turn this around and we'll do the other 2 screws. It's quite simple doing this, follow the instructions, but I figured I'd just do something a little different and to show the assembly of the fan and prep it to put it prior into the system. So then some of my other videos I will basically show you step by step in different videos, so it's going to be like clipped in more than one video. I know you have to go between each individual video, but it just gives you an easier breakdown if you're going to try to learn some of this stuff yourself. So now I'm just tightening down the screws now. The reason why I said keep the fan loose is because what happens is these items sometimes are not 100% made within the proper tolerances, so then when you go to try to put a screw in again in another spot that you already screwed all the 100% down, it'll be harder to line up the screws and the screws will not line up. So that's why I usually leave them loose, and then once they're all put in, then at that point we would then secure it all down tight with a screwdriver, and then they'll line up perfectly. Okay. So that's what it looks like with the screws down, and that's with the cap. So what you do is take one of these caps, just place it over that, push down, and click. Then you take the other one, same scenario, and snap. Then you take the last one, that's right over here, like so, clip it in there, and push down, and you'll hear a pop when they're pushed down tight. So that's what that looks like there. I've got to get a better setup for this in the future. I'll have to work on that in the future. Alright. So, we got the fans in, we got it screwed in, we got it cinched. Now, next thing is we need this. Just pop it, or just a missing block. Now, I had another block that I bought with my other liquid cooler, and it was magnetic. But I don't think I want to get this lucky on this one. I think this one's not magnetic. Oh, I guess I was wrong. So basically, this doesn't need any double-side tape or anything. You basically just stick it anywhere that has a metal case on the metal, and it will just stick right to it. I don't know if it will stick to all cases. Some cases are not metal, but this one, mine, I guess, has more metal in it than aluminum. Well, metal is aluminum, but it's a different type of material, but that does stick, so that's a good scenario. Easier to clean up, and then you don't have to clean off the tape and everything and do all that jazz. Okay. Clean these in here. Okay. No, we don't need that box neither. Okay. So the next thing we need to do is we got to find out which adapter plate we need to put on the mounting. Put on the mounting block. So back to the instructions we go again. Now I probably could figure this out myself with how to do this, but in some circumstances I just like to double check just to make sure that I'm correct, because I know in the past I have mounted some stuff and basically used the wrong bracket and then had to go through the whole process again, just like hence what I said in the earlier video. you should basically use the proper bracket. Here we go. So here's the instructions right there. So the plate we need is the one where they turn back in on itself. So this package. The one, we got 2 in here, and it comes with its own CPU paste, but I'm going to use my own because the stuff I have is a newer version of the Arctic Silver, and basically with the Arctic Silver you're better off. I've got the MX6 stuff. It's the newer brand. Gives you better heat dissipation. It just gives you better cooling altogether. So I just prefer to use that paste. I'm not going to use the Ellis CPU paste that came with it. It doesn't even look like it's a specified brand. It just looks like something cheap off the shelf. Okay, so this bracket we don't need. And we got 2 brackets here. No, we're good. Okay. So that one is not the right one. That's the second one. This is the right one for AMD. Got the 2 turn-in notches on all 4 corners. So now, which way does this mount? Okay, so that goes like so. And then the Ellis logo points up. I'll show you. That way. So then you take this and what do we got here? Well, that's not what the instruction shows. The instruction shows that pointed down. Figured this out myself. Okay, so well, that doesn't slide that way. You're shown in the picture that it slides that way, but when you look at it, the only spot that you could slide that in would be right over here. To make sure it's the right spot. Sometimes there's a certain side that it slides in on. That makes no sense. This doesn't seem to want to go on either way. Why is it every time I go to do something, it always seems to be a fight? All I can see is it's going here. I got a feeling I want to slide this on. Well. Isn't this going to be fun? Alrighty then. No special slots on either side. Nope, camera slid. You little pucker. on my cell phone case on my phone, and my cord keeps sliding. Keeps making it slide. Okay. Let's look at these goddamn instructions again here. Why was the other liqueur so much more straightforward? Look at these instructions again. That makes no damn sense. But how's that going to stay down properly? Okay. That's what it was. The other CPU cooler I got, they have another slit in it. This one goes between the white and the black slit. Yeah, okay. There we go. Now, from the instructions, it looks kind of vague there. It's not indicating that that there's a slot between the metal part and the black part. So, right there. I was trying to slide there. It looked like there was a slot there. There is a little bit, but it definitely doesn't go there. So basically, we take this and just push this down. That's a lot more easier. There we go. So there it is there. All four on. Okay. So now what's the next thing here? Okay, so we need to determine which screws we need for the AMD. So. Well, I looked at this and maybe taking the motherboard out. Because the other one I had, the one that's by Deep Cool, so that's just one thing I would even like to know. But this one, it doesn't reutilize the mounting hardware. Because the reason why is the stud comes up through the bottom, and there's no nuts or adapters. I guess I can't put that there. Here we go. That bag. That bag we don't need. And then we got this bag. Actually, let's go look at these. Actually, I guess we may be able to utilize it. I doubt it. No, I don't think we're going to be able to. That's probably what that other plate's for. Yep. So, comes with one for Intel, one for AMD. Those are not, they're just top ones. So, this one is the bottom plate. And the holes we need are those ones. So, they're showing the tab bent up and the tab bent down. So, what they're showing here is, I'm going to break this package open. That's going to be this one because it's the AMD setup. Here's the other one that's for Intel, different. That's for the LGA 2011. So that one can just be totally disregarded out of the way. So then you just take your screws, spill them out. So now the ones we need are these ones. These screws right here. So I'm assuming we flip this over and we put the screws okay. So the hole we're going to put it in. So these tabs got to be pointed up. These ones here. Hard to show it. So then you take your screw through here. There's a spot where you click it into and it locks it. So that's what it looks like from the back. So then we're going to take the other screw. So I think what they got here is they got some screw washers here. Let me take a look here. Do the washers hold it on, or is the washers there just for a spacer? Okay, so that's the other bag here with some plastic washers and some metal washers in there. Open that up. Okay, so then we're going to take a yellow washer, black washer. It's not showing if we're putting the washer because there's a ridge on one side and a ridge on the other side. So I'm just trying to determine, okay, so the ridge is going to be up top because it's going to go into the motherboard. Okay, so then when you put the washer on, it holds the screw in. So this is the way it should look here. See right here, right there's like a little edge with a chamfer on it right here, that black little part. That's going to snap into the motherboard, but I don't know if that's the case. It's not showing in the picture because, let me take a look here. I'm going to put it upside down again. It's going to create a high point. Why are these instructions so vague? Like the picture, you think they would show the chamfer on the picture of the washer. It doesn't even show which way to mount the washer. Well, my gut instinct is telling me that we're going to use the chamfer on the top. That's why I'm going to do it. Because if you do it this way, the washer's 100% against the guard. Like you see it there? It's 100% down against the guard. So, and this washer in there has a little bit of a ridge on it too. Where's it? Right there. So that's why I'm figuring the ridge should go up top on the washer. Okay, so then we take our next one. Okay, and take the washer and put it on here. I normally don't leave the video on, I usually pause between each step, but I figured I'd do something different for a change. Okay, we'll take our third one. Same thing, clips into a little slot. If it doesn't click in, you don't got it in the right position. Pull it through. Yeah. Oop. So the third one. So that's one to go. Now my other concern is this is another concern I'm just thinking of. Where the mini system is on the bottom, that doesn't have an opening on the back of the motherboard for the back of where the CPU's at. So my concern is that if I put this underneath the CPU, that hope to God it's going to clear the base of the computer. So here's all three. They're all like so on the outer part. And that's what it looks like from the other side. That's what it looks like from side view. So then basically what happens is this here will mate into this. Or maybe not. Huh? It said AMD setup. Intel bracket. Oh, that was the Intel setup. I kind of thought it seemed kind of too spread apart. So I'm going to pull the screw back out. Then we got to put the screw in. Which one is it? Slot 1 or slot 2? Horrible instructions. I can see why people don't like reading instructions. So the hole we want in is this one over. Okay. Alright. So that's the one we want. Okay. Definitely got it in the right spot. Okay. See, now that's where the Intel one, the AMD goes. So, future reference. I just showed you how to do it for your Intel. Now I'm showing you how to do it for AMD now. So it's a coincidental accent. So now we I don't know why Intel always has to be different. It's like, why not they just make it all standard for everything? They should standardize it all. Like, what's the difference with the spread? It's not that their processors are not any bigger. Well, Houston, we gotta switch it around. I got the screw on backwards because wherever it's mounting, it has to, the tabs had to be pointing up and the tabs were pointing down. So the way it was set up before is for the intel, so you have to flip the bracket over and put the bolt through from the other direction. I'll show you. So let me put this screw in first. Right there. So I'm gonna pop this up. And we do the other one through here. And we take our washer, slip it through here. Perfect. So then we take this one out. This washer's still in there. Okay, and then we put our other one that way. And we put our other one that way. And they shown because everything is upside down now, so it may be a little different. Yeah, okay, we're good. There we go. Then we take our other one. And this washer here. And when you put the washers on, it holds the screws in temporarily until you mount it. Okay, so that's what it looks like there. So now when I show you, it should slide on the post. There we go. Then it looks like that. So then once that's done, you're going to have, so you got your screws with the spring, those there. Those are going to screw into these. Double check that. That's weird. Okay, let's take a look at the screws again. Oh, they're going to be fun to put on. So, okay. See, it shows the washers. Shows the washers in the other diagram, which way to put them. Without saying put plastic ones on the inside, but there's only, I don't know, there's more. There's 4 plastic screws. Okay, I think we need to, okay. So those 4 ones. Okay. Okay, so these washers have that chamfer on it that I was talking about. Well, it's kind of hard to show there. Right there, the little ring. So what that's going to do is that's going to sit down on top of the motherboard. Then you're going to take this screw here and you're going to slip that over the sleeve. Okay. So then I'll show you this. So you would take this, your motherboard's going to wafer between the 2 of these. So then you're going to take your other washer and point that chamfer down, which is the reason why they're showing that chamfer down. Or is that down? Yep. So that would go down on top of the motherboard. Then this goes over the top of the washer. So there is a thread on one side. Then that rubber and the bolt will snug up against the board. So this will go down. I think what I was supposed to do was start the thread the other way, because what's going to happen is that thread's not going to go down far enough. What I mean is that when you thread it in, it's only going to go so far because there's no threads all the way down. So if you look at this, let's see here, one side has no thread on it. Then you look at the other side, has the threads on it. So what you want to do is put it through with the thread on top. So then it's going to look like that. That stud's going to come up. So then the liquid cooler is going to go on top of that stud. I can't assemble all this because you have to put the bracket on the motherboard. So that's going to be like that. So you just screw that when the motherboard is there. It's going to show you, so I'm not going to do it to them all. So that's where the board will be. So then that's down. So then this will go over like that, like so. And then you have a washer. And these are metal washers. So then you put that metal washer on there. So. Then you're going to have a screw with a washer. No, a screw with a spring on it. So then what you're going to do is that's going to have a thread in that. You put that down like this. Screw this down. And then that will just allow you to tighten it and leave a little bit of play. So then that's what it looks like 100% assembled. So then the next thing, once that's done, then you just repeat the process for all four sides. But don't put this screw on with the spring or the washer, or this on. Or this on when you're installing it. So this is what it's going to look like. So you're going to put that through the motherboard, then it's going to be hanging through the motherboard, then you use the washer like example with that chamfer down, and then that adapter like I showed you, and make sure the thread is point up, not down, and then a washer, and then your screw and the spring on top, and then that's the right way of assembling it. So that's the kit we're going to need for that. So I don't think there's anything else we need. So the only other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go over the module box, how to hook it up. And by the looks of it, I'm going to have to make an opening. Oh no, I don't, because I'm putting this on the other system, so I don't have those all tapped out. So we got our module box right here. So they have different adapters. They have one adapter that pretty well fits everything, and I think there's one manufacturer that decides to do something different. So the one we need yeah, Asus. They're the ones that always try to do things differently. So okay, that makes no sense. cables here. That one is for plugging into a SATA connector if you don't have an available port. Oh, okay, I see. So the Asus one uses that little small plug, this one, right there. Gigabit and the other brands under MSI are going to need the N5DG. That's the one you're going to need. So, tie off, so then you pull it out, expo, give it quite a bit of length. You can pretty well mount it anywhere in your case. Oh, okay, I see. I'm sure that my gigabit board that I have uses this connector, not the VDG. I'm 100% positive on that. If not, it really doesn't matter. This is the cable that we're going to need. So you're going to get the module box. That right there. And we're going to plug that. I know some of these you got to connect them in the right spot. Mr. Vague Instructions coming back to haunt me again. So, this cable's going in. So, I'm assuming okay. What? Huh? Okay, here's the module box. There's the name. So the two. Where did I put the other? Here it is. So here's the cord for one fan. This is a one fan setup, not dual. So the instructions is showing a dual setup, not a single, which the manufacturer should probably have had other instructions. I know myself, I know what's going on, but for a normal person, they didn't see the one. They would think they need to hook up more than one cable, but okay. So that's our fan cable. So that small, really dinky end goes on the fan, and then this plugs into the box, and there's only one spot for that to go in. It is up here. Check that. Yep. Electronics are a little finicky sometimes. I just want to make sure I'm putting it in the right spot. That makes no sense. Okay, this is not making sense at all now. Okay. That end goes to the motherboard. And this end is a 4-pin hookup. lip lighting going on here. Why is the... Maybe I got the wrong side. Doesn't fit in there. Doesn't fit in there. And then this makes no sense. Okay, I know why. Because this one is the CPU fan. I mean the heater fan. Okay, this makes sense. I gotta look at the other next step here. See what they're showing here. Okay. Instructions are showing it upside down. I don't know why they're showing it that way. So there's the end. That goes to the motherboard. And this end here. Showing the box upside down. Holy moly. Well, I guess I should probably plug it into the fan and find out which side is which. You know, where is it? Yeah, it's that little adapter. So then that connects to the board, like I thought. That end is the end that does not go into the fan. Okay. Okay. So now I gotta find out where it goes into this. Because wherever side I put it into, it doesn't seem like it's the proper slot for it. The only one that has a 4-pin. My luck, they gave me the wrong goddamn part. That'd be my luck. instructions is showing the Ellis box upside down. Then it's showing that it should be connected to these two. Okay, I got it. So, fan plugs into there. So the Ellis box lettering is upside down. So this is one fan hookup, so we don't need one. The second one would go here, and the third one would plug in there. And I'm assuming if you had any case fans from Ellis, then I'm assuming you just plug it into the module. Most people have their RGB built into their motherboard where they don't have to use modules, but they're still making you use these modules regardless. But you would just plug it into your board instead of using it without the box. So then we have our other wire. This one goes to the motherboard. So at least now, when I got one of the fans in, I know exactly where everything needs to go. And showing the picture. I just don't see how that goes in there because there's little nibs on it and it looks like it's not clearing the box. The only spot that it would fit doesn't seem like it wants to go in. Unless they're confusing me here with something else that we don't need. Okay, so we got that. So let's untangle the stuff that's on the processor. It's going to be on the processor block. Maybe by doing that, it'll make it easier. Just see things, how things operate. Okay. I think I know what's going on here. Okay. So we have two cables on the liquid cooler block to go to the motherboard. So we have a 3-pin and then we have a small one. So I'm assuming one is going to be for the pump and one is going to be for the RGB. The one end that has the motherboard cable, that would be this end. That goes directly to your CPU fan. Okay. So that must control the pump. So yeah, because CPU fan, we're replacing it with a pump. So it'll go to the CPU fan, and then you have the system fan. Oh, okay, I see. So the one with that goes to the motherboard. That goes to the system fan. And that plugs in the box that's on the bottom part of the box down this corner. Okay, that lines up. Okay. There we go. So it's upside down, and that wire goes on the bottom. Just one second. No, that's wrong. It comes out because in the picture it's showing that both are plugged in on the same side. So let me see here. Oh, I had it right. Didn't plug that other cord in yet. Okay. So that's what it should look like so far. So one cable here goes to the fan. Then this cable goes from the box to the down to the CPU block. Okay. Alright. And that wire is called, just for you people, it would be the wire running from the pump and it goes up to the distribution block. Okay. That goes to the motherboard. So the CPU cooler is hooked up, the CPU. So then that plugs into the fan over here. The only reason I'm setting this up and doing it this way now, it's so that I can, sometimes when you're looking at something, you do a diagram, or you don't use the diagram. I know the instructions has a diagram, but sometimes just physically seeing how it's set up before you put it in the system, it just makes things go a lot more smoother, especially if it's your first time installing a new product, and not every product is 100% the same. So, heat in here. Okay. So, that one wire had that came with the with the fan for the radiator, that's now plugged in. The pump is now plugged in. Now, by the looks of this, they have the wire with the RGB, but I'm not seeing where it goes. It's showing that it goes into the top of the module box, but when I go to try to... Oh, okay. Did notice it. There's another plug in the mix here. Okay. So on the board, on the cable that runs to your RGB port, if you go up the cable a little further, there's that connector, and then we go up the cable even further, then you see another connector. I didn't notice that. So the instructions were kind of vague on that. So we have the right port now. So that's going to go in the other top port where we plugged in the CPU. So where's the RGB plug in again? Sometimes these cables are hard to push in because they are brand new and sometimes they're a little stubborn. Okay. So, that's the module box there now. Okay. So then there's your wire that runs to the RGB and runs to the board. Now you have another one here, this one here, and that runs down to the CPU fan. So it goes from the CPU fan port slot into the module box. Then it goes through the module box and it goes down to the RGB connector, the two types. And then you connect on the RGB connector on the board. Okay. And then the one that runs from the CPU. Why would they use the system fan? Why not use the CPU fan? It's probably done a certain way, so go with the instructions. It just doesn't seem to make sense. You think you would put the CPU one that runs from the liquid cooler base that goes on the CPU to the CPU. That's going to the system fan, and then the fan from the module box to the CPU fan. So, which I don't understand why they would do that. Maybe just to control it, the fans and that from the module box. But it really doesn't give me an explanation why. But anyway, we'll go with what the instruction says. So that's going to go the CPU cooler block that attaches to the CPU. That's going to go to the system fan. Then the RGB wire that plugs into the motherboard has a fan connector on it, and that goes to the CPU connector on your motherboard. So, just making sure everything's hooked up. It sure is. Oh yeah, I see why they got it hooked on the CPU fan, because the CPU, the radiator fan runs into the box, and then they monitor the temperature, so it's monitoring the temperature from the radiator instead of the CPU block. Why would they do that? I don't understand why they would do that. You think you would want the CPU temperature directly from the block, but they do have everything that runs into the module box. So the radiator fan goes into the RGB box. The one that goes from the block goes to the system fan. Then the RGB connector goes to the RGB connector. So, looks to that's pretty well everything. Okay, so this is what the module box looks like when it's all set up, said and done. There's the one that runs the motherboard and the CPU fan. Runs out of the box from the top down to the CPU block. And then the other wire down on the bottom that runs from over to the radiator fan into the module box. Okay, that's all that. And if your motherboard doesn't have the RGB connector on your motherboard, you will need to go with, where'd that cable go? To show you. Just have it. Oh, there. So it has a SATA connector on one end, and then it has the wire that goes into the bottom of the module box, right there in the bottom. And then you use the SATA as a power source to run the module box. By the looks of this, the way this is set up, it's utilizing what is on board to control, so the SATA cord is not needed. That is something else that we need to discard. We don't need. Okay. So, let's show you everything here one more time of the assembly process. Okay. So, our liquid cooler mounts. Take your bracket, make sure they're pointing up like that. Then take your CPU fan, put it over the screws that I indicated. It looks like that. Like so. Then you take your washer with the thread, put it. No. Put this from the bottom of your motherboard, slip it in. Then put on your plastic washer. Make sure the chamfer is pointed up. Then your bracket with that, the toggle with the thread at top. And then metal washer. And then the screw with the spring on it, and then screw it down into it. I'll show you that in the next video when I do the install in the system. But that's pretty well everything. I don't have anything to plug it into to show you it lit up. We'll show that at the last step when it's all in the system. So basically, that's what it looks like. That's what it looks like right now. And all the sake is putting it into the system. Okay. That's done. And you do have this too as well. So that goes. I'll show you this. I almost forgot about that. So you got this bracket like this, and then you got this gasket, the double side. Is that magnet? It's not double-sided, it's single-sided. So basically, you would take this gasket, peel the 3M paper off the back, stick that down on top, and there you go. And then you put this on the bottom of your motherboard, and then you just do the process that I indicated earlier. So here's the. I don't know why they didn't show you putting that sticker on. They don't show you putting the sticker on there when you're installing it. It doesn't show it at all. It's quite vague. Yeah, it doesn't show it. But anyway, that just basically isolates the bracket from the motherboard is why they do that. Now, I'm trying to look at the AMD instructions here. I just want to make sure if they're showing the plastic gasket. Yeah, it's showing a plastic gasket, but it's very vague. They're showing like a square pad, not a oval pad. So that's the this is the picture here of the AMD setup. And here's a picture of the Intel setup. And these are the items that should be included in the item. In the box. And it shows you the product specifications. And there's another page. There's the other page. And the cable connection page. And there's the last page of how it should look. Showed you that, showed you that. Showed you that. Showed you that. And showed that as well. Okay. That's everything there. Now, I just got some empty bags, so I'm just going to put the empty bags back in the box, in these boxes, so they don't go missing. I was going to have some extra screw packets around. Okay. And then, as we're doing the AMD, we don't need any of those. Because we only got one fan, we don't have two set up. Then the Intel brackets can go back in there. And the fan screws we don't need, because that's for setting it up on the case. And don't need the SATA cable because I'm hooking mine into the motherboard because it has RGB on it. Okay, that in there. And I'm going to throw the CPU grease in there as well. I plan on using it as my own. And then we don't need the Intel bracket because it's not what we're setting up. And there's your remote. And there's a little plastic tab in the remote. You need to pull out so that it'll give you a connection with the battery. Put that in the bag, get rid of that. Okay. And this is what you should have set up and ready to go. Okay, that. Those 4 of those. 4 of these. 4 plastic washers. 4 metal washers. And that's everything. So here's a picture of everything to set it up on the AMD board. That's everything. That's all the prep of what I can do at the moment to show you what